How do you know if you're doing it well? Do you have like a checklist or anything like that? Very leading question. So obviously we talk a lot about trust-based SEO. What would you define that as?
So it's kind of as it says on the tin. It's search that's led by elements of your business entity online that can create trust for customers and for Google, because naturally now we're kind of treating Google more like a customer than an algorithm. And it's kind of a combination of everything that you would see from a classic local SEO, you know, Google My Business and reviews and all those lovely things, but also things on site like EAT and reputation management that you would do within a SERP. So, you know, if you've got negative news stories out about you and bad links and all that kind of stuff, it's all kind of a big umbrella of everything that could possibly damage trust in your business, and finding it all and improving it. On-site trust signals, payment providers, all that kind of stuff that, like, if you were going onto a website and you're like, I don't know if I want to buy from these guys, that's why you need trust-led SEO.
Yeah, so you think people are looking at it sort of too siloed at the moment and thinking it's a local tactic. We need to make sure that reviews are as good as they can be. We need to manage those comments and stuff like that, rather than looking broader.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, people do it in, I was going to say in the real world, isn't it? In you know, in person, in the physical world, people will talk about their experiences with businesses and they'll say, oh, I'm not really a fan of them. They look a bit dodgy, or, you know, that shop was a bit mucky when I went in. Those are all trust signals as well. They're just physical trust signals. So essentially what we're doing is replicating that behavior online. So we're taking, you know, reviews, and we're saying, this is essentially our online version of word of mouth. This is our online version of people saying, oh, I went in that shop the other day and it smelled lovely. That's what you want, because you're building other people's trust and wanting to go and purchase there or use a service. And people do generically think that it's local SEO, and it's not. It's relevant for literally everyone. You know, it's not only local businesses that need to be trusted.
I suppose it's sort of every consumer touch point.
Yeah.
Both locally, sort of in, like you say, a branded SERP, making sure that it's reiterating a positive experience, but also online as well. I know we've discussed it before, the fact that in a lot of instances, your homepage will be littered with every accreditation and every trust signal you can possibly imagine, but it's not seen deeper within the site. What would you sort of, what's your advice around that, really?
Yeah, I mean, that's something we see literally all the time. People are like, I've got a really trustworthy site, put all the reviews and testimonials on the homepage, you know, all that, like you said, all the accreditations, everything. It looks beautiful on the homepage, but a lot of people don't enter the site from the homepage. And especially if you're going through something like Google My Business, where you might actually enter into a location page or a contact page, those trust signals need to be right across the site. So things like testimonials, not the same one over and over again, which is another mistake people make literally all the time. Testimonials, case studies, links to case studies, and links to blogs as well, so you can prove that you know what you're talking about. I know you love links to blogs.
I was going to say, my ears pricked up.
And, you know, just generally encouraging, you know, telling people that you're safe to purchase from or that you're safe to visit. Particularly recently, things like COVID measures. Whether you're appointment only, if your staff wear masks, temperature checks, all those kinds of things that you can put on your website, you can put on Google My Business, you can tell people in person, put on your social medias. It includes social media as well. All that kind of stuff, like, bunched together. That's what we want. We want all of that.
And I suppose just treating individual pages on your site, like you say, different landing pages, sort of forgetting that they have any prior sort of relationship with that brand or have ever been on that website before. Just treat it as a fresh page. Sort of thing.
Every page should be like, you know, when you walk into like a Lush or something, and
I was going to say that when you said the shop that smells really nice, I was like, you're definitely thinking of Lush.
Yeah, you know, when you go in there and they, you know, it's welcoming and they go, hi, how can I help you today? and you're like, oh, I need this, and then they give you some expert advice on what lovely animal-friendly thing you need to buy. Essentially, you need to recreate that experience on every single page on your site that people might land on. So, you know, your welcome is a couple of nice trust signals that say, we've been doing this for 50 years, or, you know, great review. Your expertise comes slightly lower down the page in your content, especially on a service page. You know, that's where that EAT is really important. And they're like, okay, so they've now chosen the bath bomb. And then at the end of the page, they're like, another testimonial. Someone else goes over to you and says, that bath bomb smells amazing. You should buy that one. You want that experience on every single page and make it really easy for people to then get to the payment, you know, to get to the end result, whatever the end result might be. So it's actually, a lot of it also comes down to UX.
And those friction points, sort of like minimising them.
Yeah.
And like you say, making that review very specific. Like if they're talking about a particular product, have the product reviews there rather than the brand as a whole, because they may have a varying quality of product range sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And also like something that's comes across a lot in reviews is people trying to remove the ones that don't fit, the ones that they don't like, or the less than 4 stars and stuff like that. Having those on there, having a 1 star left on your website or on your Google My Business profile, way more beneficial than taking them all off, because nothing looks more fishy than something that everybody says they love.
I definitely saw or listened to a podcast ages ago when they were sort of saying they trust a lesser overall rating, rather, so like in the thousands of 3.8 as opposed to 200, which is 5 star.
Yeah,
it's the quantity. They know that you're human and that every customer won't have an amazing experience necessarily, but on the whole, it's helping to define that trustworthiness, isn't it? And show, we're a normal brand that, these are honest opinions and honest experiences, really.
Yeah, and honesty is a really key part of it, because Google now is getting really good at working out when you're dishonest about stuff. We've seen that when people put like loads of extra categories on Google My Business and Google's like, no, and it takes them off, you know, that sort of thing. So if
there's a review schema as well, and when people would incorrectly mark up their schema to be like 5 stars when they're actually less than that.
Yeah, exactly. Google's going to work it out. It's going to find you out. So that honesty, being really honest, and actually a lot of the time being honest with your customers as well and being like, look, sometimes we do not the best job, but no one's perfect all the time. So, you know, we're really sorry we didn't do the best job. We'll do the best job next time. And most of the time, those customers are so much more receptive to stuff like that, especially when they're visible reviews on something like GMB or Trustpilot. If you're like, we're really sorry, can you give us an opportunity to fix it? Instead of being like, you're talking nonsense and, you know, getting angry at them, being defensive and stuff like that. Google loves that because they're like, you're replying to reviews and you're being nice to people. But also customers are going to be like, okay, so one person had a bad time or it arrived broken or whatever, but they fixed it and everyone else seems happy.
But this sort of goes beyond search as well, doesn't it? When you're sort of saying about replying to comments, like how many times do you see it on Facebook when people are putting ads out or organic posts and they're getting littered with negative comments, or if someone replies to an email, or it is relevant across the board. And it's just good marketing, isn't it? And obviously, if you're getting tons of negative reviews or the experience isn't great, then our hands are tied, basically. We're going to struggle to get the return you want, because the brand isn't as strong as it needs to be and people aren't trusting it, are having negative experiences. So that's always, well, you always say that in your presentations, rule 101, make sure that your brand is giving a good experience. You've got
to actually be doing the good job in order for someone to market you as doing a good job. You know, you have to be giving a 5-star service, and if you're not sure that you are, just take a step back and reassess that, because actually a lot of the time, if you're doing an amazing job, people will tell you. They'll tell you a lot less than if you're doing a terrible job, but people will tell you, especially if you ask, did I do a great job? If you did a great job, people will tell you you did a great job. So, you know, making sure you're actually giving that 5-star service before expecting anything like that to work is literally the first thing you have to do.
Have you seen any brands done that well in your experience? Sorry to be on the spot.
Well, I mean, a lot of brands do it well, but the bigger brands tend to struggle with that more, because you'll get, you know, big companies like Nike or whatever, and it's all mass produced and it's very digitized, and, you know,
Generic.
Yeah, it's all very
it's
generic.
lacking that
yeah.
personal.
Yeah, so yeah, you don't get the personalization in replying to a customer service issue and stuff like that. So the bigger brands tend to struggle with it more, with that genuine and honest feedback, and they're less likely to take it on. But actually, if anything, for the bigger brands, that genuine and honest feedback is more important.
And to be honest, for a lot of smaller businesses, that's their point of difference. That's their, like you were saying before, coming into the store or whatever, you'd have a very personal experience because they probably know your name, sort of thing, and little touches like that. You need to reflect that online.
Yeah, exactly. If someone Googles your name because they're like, oh, that chap down the road was really lovely, I'm just going to have a look at his website, and then your website's rough, they're going to be like, not sure about that. And they're going to have a different opinion of you, especially, like you said, in those small, tight-knit communities where it is relevant to local businesses. These trust elements can be make or break. And things like Facebook and stuff are just continually growing as the initial source of customers online for small businesses, that having that right can literally be the be-all and end-all of your business. You don't want people coming out of your shop going, oh, it's a bit grubby in there, or, you know, I didn't enjoy that experience very much, or that cashier was really grumpy. You know, obviously everybody has bad days, but, you know, you don't want people coming out having that experience. And the same goes for your website, including things like accessibility. That's a big thing, that people think that just because they score a pass on Google's accessibility checks, that means it's fine for everyone, and it's not. There's a lot of things that people who need additional accessibility can't get because it's not within those checks, and everyone's like, that's fine, that'll do.
In store, you'd go above and beyond.
Yeah,
for
in
people
store
that would need that.
You have shelves at all sorts of different heights, you have ramps, you have elevators and stairs, and you know, everything that you could possibly do to encourage anybody with any ability to be able to shop and have a good experience. Why not do that online? And that all feeds in. Google can see if somebody's struggling to read the fonts and stuff like that, and they just click off because they've had enough of it. Or Google can see if a button's not working properly, or they can't zoom in properly. Like, it can see all of that.
It's like the responsiveness versus sort of the older style, having to zoom in. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Making it mobile friendly, making it the best experience possible.
Yeah. And also making it tablet friendly. And the tablet is probably the least important in our industry generally for how we actually build websites and make sure they actually work. But a lot of disabilities require the use of a tablet because a mobile phone is too small. And obviously a laptop is too big. So, you know, all those little things.
It's not sort of like really stress testing it on smaller devices, like the most popular devices. It's thinking what's applicable to all. Obviously, you've got that information within Google Analytics, and you can see the devices and the width and screen sizes. And
and I mean that it might be 1% of your users use a tablet, but that 1% could be your biggest spender. You know, so that it's bringing all of that together. It's a big job. It's a big thing. And obviously it's not just me, like it involves you guys, it involves tech, it involves UX, it's everything put together, but it's so valuable to see the results of something like that and people actually just really loving the experience of a whole business.
How do you know if you're doing it well? Do you have like a checklist or anything like that? Very leading question.
Yeah, well, I use the How Trustworthy Is Your Business checklist that was made by yours truly. But a lot of people just won't and don't know how well they're doing. That's why I made that, so that we could see actually how trustworthy our clients are and if they need to put more work into that, because we trust our clients to do a good job because we love our clients. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're always doing a good job to their customers. So yeah, I use a checklist that's like, do they have reviews? Can you get reviews on the website? You know, are there any common things that come up in reviews that you could change? All those sorts of things, like, is your website secure, HTTPS, you know, all that sort of stuff. Obviously, if we've built it, it will be, but you know what I mean. Onboarding clients, talking about, have you got trust signals across the site? Are they out of date trust signals as well? If you've got an award from 2007 on your website, people are going to be like, yeah, that says a lot about you. And the same with outdated content. You know, a social media profile that hasn't been updated in 8 years, that's all going to turn people off completely from your business.
Nice. So, in summary, people should be focusing more, thinking broader.
Yeah, in summary, treat online like you do in person.
Yeah, that's a nice way to finish.